the Ghana National Association of Private Schools and the Ghana National Council of Private Schools are calling for an end to government's 30% priority placement system. They say this denies private school students admission to top public institutions in the country. Executive Director for the Ghana National Council of Private Schools, Obingfo Nana Kwesi Jitwa, joins us via Zoom with more of their concern. We'll also be getting reactions from individuals in the education sector, specifically the Executive Director for the Institute of Education Studies, Mr. Anti. Thank you so much for your time here, Mr. Obingfo. Let's start with your primary concern. Why do you feel that the 30% priority placement quota ought to be taken out?
Thank you very much, and good morning to your cherished listeners this morning.
Good morning.
I know very well that some weeks past we discussed this extensively on your show, but it's very important also to reiterate the point. Because as at that time we indicated our intention, and as for your information, the petition that we indicated the intention has fully been filed. But just quick to your question, we have already alluded to the fact that the activities of private education in Ghana is not an illegal activity. It's a legal activity that has a constitutional backing to that effect. And more specifically, the Article 25, Clause 2 actually put a responsibility and legal obligation on the individual who set up a school, because it reads that anyone has the right to set up a school with a view of maintaining such institution. And so we believe that if we have been very adherent to the law and has really been able to maintain our schools and positive outcomes has been emerged, it does not warrant for any punishment for that. We are not the custodian of educational resources to be provided to the public schools. As citizens in Ghana, what we are demanded of is to pay our taxes, and then institutions that are mandated, such as Ministry of Education, uses such revenues to provide adequate resources for any other activity that the country engage upon. So for the ministry to justify this approach on the mere basis that they have not been able to provide educational resources to the public education community, and for that matter, their effort is not completed if they don't give them 30% allocation, we see it as a misplaced, decision, and for that matter, it must be taken out from the context. Because we equally also have 70% of private schools in the country that international bodies like USAID and other bodies are even currently supporting them, classify them as low-cost private schools in the hinterlands. And so if you want to be equitably distribution of national resources and policies, why don't you also include some of these schools into these packages? Because when you go to certain communities, you wouldn't even see public schools in those areas. And for that matter, parents in those areas are not choosing private schools as a mere of a luxury, but a necessity, because that is the only source of education that they have. So coupled with other legal obligations and legal provisions enshrined in our constitution, we see that the kind of action taken by the ministry and based on our previous conversations, try as much as possible to dialogue and solve the issue. We have concluded in a sense that we need to take up a bold step to petition CHRAJ, which we have done. And yesterday we did a press conference to actually put on notice to all the general public the intentions that we have taken and the steps that we are on it to ensure that fairness and equitable distribution of national educational resources and materials reach all intended Ghanaian learners. The other point that we have also spoken about it is that it is not about only the interest of private education that we are fronting this kind of fight. It is based on the fact that if you allow such situation to be turning around the educational system, it will eventually reduce the standards education that we have set for ourselves. Because if educational infrastructures such as textbooks, desks, supervision, and other things are not in place, we don't believe that a near-jerk policy like 30% allocation will be the best option to fix such canker.
So let me go into the petition to CHRAJ. What are the key reliefs you are seeking, and is there a timeline to when they would be done with the investigations?
All right. So we know that the Article 1218 of the 1992 Constitution mandates CHRAJ to investigate matters that borders on human rights issues. And that is the first thing that we have invoked such jurisdiction to ensure that CHRAJ investigate these complaints that we have already made. And two, immediately sanctioned the abolition of the 30% allocation to the Category A schools immediately, so that the Ministry of Education will be debarred not to be able to implement such policy. And then the third one is to come out with instruct the Ministry of Education to engage all key stakeholders so that a meritorious or a meritocratic system of admission will be applied in our educational system. And these are the major three reliefs that we are seeking. In terms of timelines, we know very well that CHRAJ is going to be very proactive, and they are working within the time frame that their regulation has set out for them. However, we have already articulated that within the end of this month, if further engagement has not been made and we have not gotten any conclusive ideas from CHRAJ, it serves as a 30 days notification that we have to qualify to notify the Attorney General and proceed to the High Court to invoke the jurisdiction of the High Court in these human rights issues.
Thank you. Let's bring in now Dr. Peter Anti. He is Executive Director for the Institute of Education Studies. Thank you so much for your time here on NewsDesk. Now, this organization have sent a petition to CHRAJ. As part of the key reliefs they are seeking is that for government to remove the 30% quota they place on, public institutions during the placements of senior high school students. But then one would question the timing. Why now? Because we have most schools already opened and students already in place.
Thank you very much for this. Good morning to your viewers. First and foremost, I think that we need to know the rationale for the introduction of that 30%. All the conversations that I've heard and been privy to seems to suggest that it's supposed to be a mechanism to ensure that most of the students in the public schools get access to the best schools, the Category A schools, because technically it seems that their performance would not give them that opportunity. And most of these schools are dominated by private schools. So that seems to be the rationale. But I think that in doing that, there should have been a broader consultation among the various stakeholders so that a clear understanding of how that 30% would be operationalized would have come to there. But I also note, as I agree with you in terms of the timing, because this issue has been at the forefront for some time now. I was thinking that the private schools have had a lot of engagement with the relevant authorities. And I was thinking that we would have, started this teaching long before the release of the school placement, so that by the time that process would finish whatever it is that they have to give, we would have known the direction, and hence people who will benefit from it will be in private school, the final years in private school this year. But unfortunately, they have now started. It means that any benefit, in case it happens, would be for those who would leave junior high school in the coming year. I really think what CHRAJ will say about this, because for me, that 30% beats the principle of equity in terms of, because the placement we are told is done based on merit. So if that's what is supposed to be the case, why do you give special dispensation to public school candidates? Because you feel that they might not perform, or the private schools will outperform them. So it will be an interesting case to know what the outcome will be in coming days.
Let me just wrap up with Mr. Obengfo as we end the conversation. I'll pose the same question to you. Why now, though?
So why now is that over the years, we believe that we are part of the ministry, and for that matter, we have to always judge and find an amicable solution to the issues. So beginning of this year, we had a meeting on the same matter, and we all resolved with the ministry that there are over 70% of the low-cost private schools that indeed, if this policy is to strengthen and give equal access to learners who are underserved in those communities, should be also part. And for that matter, we submitted data to that effect. So we were anticipating that at this point, this current placement system would have included them in the placement and giving them the same leverage. The last meeting we had with the ministry pointed out that, yes, indeed, our private schools learners had the best grades, and they could not include them in this policy. And then we felt that it's a denial, it is a sort of betrayal that the ministry, didn't go by their consensus agreement that we had. And that is the reason why we have to act in a different manner. So that has been the background. We didn't just, wake up one day and say that we are going for judicial review, or we are going for this route. We decided to engage first. And since the ministry has failed in all their promises, that is why at this point in time, we decided to activate the independent body to come on board and ensure fairness prevail.
Thank you so much, Mr. Obengfo Nanakwesi. Now, let's wrap that conversation. If you have any thoughts to share with us on any stories we've done so far, please share them with us. We're Joy News on TV on all our social media handles.